The silent epidemic. Over 1 billion people worldwide currently experience a vitamin D deficiency, a staggering global health crisis. This widespread deficiency often remains undetected because its subtle symptoms frequently mimic those of other common ailments, delaying diagnosis and intervention for many individuals. Therefore, a significant portion of the global population is unknowingly living with suboptimal vitamin D levels, impacting various physiological processes beyond what was previously understood. Early research primarily focused on vitamin D's role in bone health, but contemporary science reveals its profound influence extends far beyond skeletal support, affecting immunity, mood, and chronic disease prevention. It's a silent epidemic hiding in plain sight. This widespread, unrecognized deficiency sets the stage for a multitude of health challenges that are only now beginning to be fully understood. What is D? Vitamin D, despite its common classification, functions more accurately as a prohormone within the human body. This means the body converts it into an active hormone called citriol, which regulates numerous physiological processes. The synthesis of this crucial compound primarily occurs in the skin when exposed to ultraviolet B, UVB radiation from sunlight. Therefore, unlike traditional vitamins, which must be obtained solely through diet, our bodies possess the remarkable ability to produce vitamin D endogenously given adequate sun exposure. Early scientific understanding, dating back to the 1920s, recognized vitamin D's critical role in calcium absorption and bone mineralization. This discovery fundamentally changed the treatment of rickets, a debilitating bone disease prevalent at the time, leading to widespread fortification efforts in foods like milk. However, subsequent research reveals its influence extends far beyond bone health, impacting a complex web of bodily systems. This broader understanding continuously reshapes public health recommendations and highlights the multifaceted importance of maintaining optimal vitamin D levels. The sunlight factor. Sunlight remains the primary natural source of vitamin D for most individuals, specifically its ultraviolet B radiation. When UVB rays strike the skin, a precursor molecule converts into pre-vitamin D3, which then transforms into active vitamin D3. This elegant biological process allows our bodies to produce significant amounts of vitamin D efficiently, provided we receive adequate, unprotected sun exposure. However, modern lifestyles often limit this crucial interaction. Therefore, understanding the nuances of sun exposure becomes critical for maintaining sufficient vitamin D levels naturally. Geographical location profoundly impacts vitamin D synthesis, especially during cooler months. Individuals living above 37 degrees north or south latitude experience significantly reduced UVB intensity in winter. This geographical constraint means that for a large portion of the global population, natural vitamin D production almost halts for several months of the year, necessitating alternative strategies. Furthermore, the use of sunscreen, while vital for skin protection, dramatically inhibits vitamin D synthesis. A product with SPF 15 blocks approximately 99% of vitamin D production. Consequently, reliance on sunscreen for extended periods can inadvertently contribute to deficiency, presenting a challenging balance between sun safety and nutrient acquisition. Dietary sources. While sunlight remains the primary source, dietary vitamin D offers a supplementary pathway to maintaining adequate levels, though options are somewhat limited. Naturally, the most significant food sources of vitamin D3 are fatty fish like wild-caught salmon, mackerel, and tuna. A 3.5-ounce serving of wild salmon can provide between 400 and 1,000 international units, IU, of vitamin D, depending on the species and season. However, consuming sufficient amounts of these foods daily to meet optimal vitamin D requirements proves challenging for most people. Consequently, fortified foods constitute a crucial part of many diets, helping to bridge the nutrient gap. Products such as milk, orange juice, and breakfast cereals often have vitamin D added during processing, although the specific amounts can vary significantly between brands and product types. Some mushrooms also naturally contain ergocalciferol, or vitamin D2, and their vitamin D content can be significantly boosted by exposing them to ultraviolet light. This process mimics how our skin produces vitamin D. Understanding these limited dietary contributions helps illustrate why deficiency remains a widespread issue, despite available food sources. Measuring D. Accurately assessing vitamin D status relies on a specific diagnostic tool, the 25-OHD blood test, which measures 25-hydroxyvitamin D in the bloodstream. This particular metabolite serves as the gold standard indicator because it reflects both dietary intake and sun exposure, providing a comprehensive picture of the body's vitamin D reserves. Therefore, medical professionals consistently utilize this test to determine if an individual's levels fall within healthy parameters. Understanding your personal 25-OHD level is the crucial first step toward addressing any potential imbalance. Current guidelines define vitamin D deficiency as a blood concentration below 20 ng per ml, 50 nmol per liter, a level associated with significant health risks. Meanwhile, insufficiency is categorized as levels ranging from 21 to 29 ng per ml, 52.5 to 72.5 nmol per liter, suggesting suboptimal but not critically low reserves. These threshold values provide a framework for clinicians, guiding decisions on supplementation and further health interventions. Knowing these specific numerical ranges empowers individuals to interpret their test results and discuss appropriate strategies with their healthcare providers. Bone breakdown. One of the most historically recognized consequences of vitamin D deficiency involves severe bone breakdown, particularly evident in conditions like rickets. This disease, primarily affecting children, causes bones to soften and weaken significantly because they fail to properly mineralize with calcium and phosphate. Consequently, children with rickets often develop skeletal deformities, including bowed legs and enlarged joints, impacting their physical development and mobility. The prevention of rickets was the original impetus for widespread vitamin D research. Therefore, the critical role of vitamin D in bone formation became undeniable early in the 20th century. In adults, prolonged vitamin D deficiency manifests as osteomalacia, characterized by persistent bone pain and generalized muscle weakness. Unlike osteoporosis, where bone density decreases, osteomalacia involves a defect in the bone-building process itself, leading to soft bones that are prone to bending. Furthermore, studies consistently link low vitamin D levels to an increased fracture risk by 20 to 30% in older adults, even in the absence of full-blown osteomalacia. This heightened risk underscores vitamin D's continuous importance throughout the lifespan for maintaining skeletal integrity and preventing debilitating injuries. Immune shield. Vitamin D plays a critical, multifaceted role in bolstering the body's immune shield, extending far beyond its well-known effects on bone health. It directly influences the function of immune cells, notably activating T cells, which are crucial for identifying and eliminating invading pathogens. This direct impact means that adequate vitamin D levels empower the immune system to mount a more robust and effective defense against various infections. Therefore, maintaining sufficient vitamin D becomes an essential strategy for enhancing overall immune resilience. Compelling data consistently links lower vitamin D levels to higher rates of respiratory infections, including influenza and the common cold. For instance, a 2017 meta-analysis of 25 randomized controlled trials involving over 11,000 participants concluded that vitamin D supplementation significantly reduced the risk of acute respiratory tract infections. Meanwhile, a growing body of emerging research now explores vitamin D's modulating role in autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis, where the immune system mistakenly attacks healthy body tissues. This complex interplay underscores vitamin D's profound influence on immune regulation, influencing both infection defense and autoimmune responses. Mood impact. Beyond its physical roles, vitamin D exerts a significant mood impact, influencing neurobiology and potentially affecting mental well-being. Researchers have identified vitamin D receptors in critical brain areas associated with mood regulation, including the hypothalamus and hippocampus. This direct presence suggests that vitamin D plays an active role in neurological functions that govern emotional states. Therefore, a deficiency can disrupt these delicate systems, potentially contributing to feelings of sadness or lethargy. The connection between vitamin D and mood becomes particularly pronounced with seasonal affective disorder, SAD, a condition affecting millions during darker winter months. People often experience symptoms like low energy and depressed mood when natural sunlight exposure, and thus vitamin D production, drastically decreases. Multiple studies confirm this strong correlation, indicating that reduced vitamin D levels may exacerbate seasonal mood changes. Preliminary research also shows vitamin D supplementation offers promise for improving mood in individuals with diagnosed deficiencies, though more large-scale trials are ongoing to solidify these findings. Chronic threat. Beyond its established roles, vitamin D deficiency poses a significant chronic threat, implicated in the development and progression of several debilitating diseases. Numerous studies link low vitamin D levels to an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, influencing both insulin sensitivity and pancreatic beta cell function. For instance, a 2018 meta-analysis of over 80 studies found that individuals with the highest vitamin D levels had a 38% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those with the lowest levels. Therefore, maintaining adequate vitamin D status becomes a proactive measure in managing metabolic health. Furthermore, a concerning correlation exists between low vitamin D and increased cardiovascular disease mortality. Research indicates that suboptimal vitamin D levels can contribute to hypertension, arterial stiffness, and inflammation, all factors that elevate heart disease risk. A large 2021 study involving over 250,000 participants observed a significant reduction in cardiovascular events among those with higher vitamin D concentrations. Meanwhile, some cancers also show a higher incidence with low vitamin D, including colorectal, breast, and prostate cancers, though the exact mechanisms are still under intensive investigation. This broad impact underscores vitamin D's critical role in systemic health and long-term disease prevention. Who is at risk? Certain populations face a significantly elevated risk of vitamin D deficiency due to physiological or environmental factors. Individuals with darker skin tones possess higher concentrations of melanin, a pigment that acts as a natural sunscreen and effectively blocks UVB radiation from penetrating the skin. This reduced UVB absorption dramatically decreases the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight, even with substantial sun exposure. Therefore, people with richly pigmented skin often require more direct sunlight or supplemental vitamin D to achieve optimal levels. The elderly population represents another high-risk group. As individuals age, their skin's capacity to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight declines significantly by as much as 4 times by age 70. This age-related reduction in efficiency means older adults generate less vitamin D from the same amount of sun exposure compared to younger individuals. Furthermore, obesity impacts vitamin D levels because the fat-soluble vitamin becomes sequestered within adipose, fat cells, making it less bioavailable in the bloodstream. Consequently, individuals with a higher body mass index often require substantially higher dosages of vitamin D to reach healthy concentrations. Lastly, people with gastrointestinal disorders like Crohn's disease or celiac disease frequently experience impaired absorption of dietary vitamin D, regardless of intake, adding another layer of complexity to deficiency prevention. Dosage dilemma. Navigating the optimal vitamin D intake presents a significant dosage dilemma for both individuals and healthcare providers. The established recommended dietary allowance, RDA, typically ranges from 600 to 800 IU daily for most adults, a guideline set by official health organizations. However, this recommendation remains highly controversial among many vitamin D researchers and clinicians who argue it is insufficient for achieving true sufficiency. Therefore, the disparity between official guidelines and expert consensus often creates confusion for those seeking to optimize their vitamin D status. Consequently, many vitamin D experts recommend significantly higher daily intakes, often in the range of 2,000 to 5,000 IU daily, especially for individuals with confirmed deficiencies or limited sun exposure. This higher suggested dosage aims to elevate blood levels to a more protective range, typically above 30 ng per milliliter. Furthermore, when considering supplementation, the form of vitamin D matters. Vitamin D3, or cholecalciferol, consistently demonstrates greater efficacy in raising and maintaining blood levels compared to vitamin D2, ergocalciferol. This difference impacts how effectively your body utilizes the supplement. Therefore, selecting the right form and a personalized dosage become crucial for effective vitamin D repletion. Toxicity fears. Concerns about vitamin D toxicity often arise, prompting questions about safe upper intake levels. For most healthy adults, the established tolerable upper intake level, UL, is 4,000 IU daily, a benchmark set to prevent adverse effects from excessive consumption. However, this upper limit is a guideline for daily intake and not necessarily the absolute maximum dose some individuals might tolerate under medical supervision. Therefore, while caution is always prudent, the risk of harm at commonly recommended supplemental dosages remains relatively low for the general population. Importantly, vitamin D toxicity from supplements is extremely rare, typically occurring only with massive, prolonged overdoses, often tens or even hundreds of thousands of IU daily. Such extreme intakes can lead to hypercalcemia, where blood calcium levels become dangerously high, causing symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and kidney issues. Crucially, your body possesses a self-regulating mechanism, meaning you can never experience vitamin D toxicity from sun exposure, regardless of how long you spend outdoors. This natural fail-safe highlights the inherent safety of obtaining vitamin D through its primary evolutionary source. Supplement smarts. Optimizing vitamin D supplementation involves strategic choices that enhance its absorption and utilization within the body. Since vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, consuming it with a fatty meal significantly improves its absorption. For instance, taking your supplement alongside avocados, nuts, or olive oil can increase its bioavailability by an estimated 32% compared to taking it on an empty stomach. Therefore, timing your supplement intake with meals proves a simple yet effective way to maximize its benefits. Furthermore, the body requires other cofactors to fully activate and utilize vitamin D. Magnesium is crucial for this activation process. Without sufficient magnesium, vitamin D can remain in an inactive form, hindering its physiological functions despite adequate intake. Additionally, vitamin K2 is often paired with vitamin D in supplement formulations because it plays a vital role in directing calcium to the bones and away from soft tissues. This synergy helps prevent calcium buildup in arteries. Understanding these crucial synergistic relationships ensures your vitamin D supplementation effectively supports overall health. The debate. Despite extensive research, the question of what constitutes the optimal vitamin D level remains actively debated within the scientific and medical communities. While deficiency and insufficiency ranges are generally agreed upon, experts diverge on the ideal target for maximizing health benefits, with some advocating for levels closer to 50 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. This ongoing discussion reflects the complexity of vitamin D's roles and the varied individual responses to supplementation. Therefore, interpreting your test results often benefits from a nuanced conversation with a knowledgeable healthcare provider. Meanwhile, the effectiveness of mass vitamin D screening is increasingly questioned, particularly for the general healthy population. Some public health bodies argue that universal screening is not cost-effective and may lead to unnecessary interventions, while others emphasize its utility in identifying at-risk groups. Consequently, a personalized approach to vitamin D management is gaining significant traction, focusing on individual risk factors, lifestyle, and specific health goals. This tailored strategy acknowledges that a one-size-fits-all recommendation might not serve everyone optimally, moving towards more targeted interventions for deficiency. Future discoveries. The scientific understanding of vitamin D continues to expand, with future discoveries promising to reveal even more intricate roles within human biology. Researchers are actively exploring its new roles in epigenetics and gene expression, investigating how vitamin D influences which genes are turned on or off. This deeper dive into its molecular mechanisms suggests that vitamin D could have far-reaching effects on cellular function and disease prevention that are only beginning to be mapped. Therefore, the traditional view of vitamin D, primarily as a bone vitamin, rapidly evolves with each new revelation. Furthermore, ongoing studies meticulously explore vitamin D's impact on the gut microbiome, an ecosystem of trillions of microorganisms influencing countless aspects of health. Initial findings suggest that vitamin D levels can shape the diversity and composition of gut bacteria, potentially affecting digestion, immunity, and even mental health. Meanwhile, scientists seek more clarity on vitamin D's precise roles in autoimmune diseases, aiming to delineate its therapeutic potential in conditions like rheumatoid arthritis and inflammatory bowel disease. These exciting avenues of research indicate that our comprehensive understanding of vitamin D is still very much in its infancy, promising significant breakthroughs in health and nutrition. Your next step. Understanding the widespread impact of vitamin D deficiency means taking proactive steps toward optimizing your own health. The most effective initial action involves considering testing your current vitamin D levels through a simple blood test, which provides precise data about your unique status. This quantifiable information empowers you to make informed decisions about potential supplementation or lifestyle adjustments based on your body's specific needs. Therefore, don't rely on guesswork when it comes to such a crucial nutrient. Get the facts about your vitamin D. Once you have your test results, the critical next step involves a thorough discussion with your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional. They can interpret your specific vitamin D levels in the context of your overall health history, current medications, and individual risk factors. Together, you can formulate a personalized strategy that may include dietary changes, appropriate sun exposure, or targeted supplementation at a safe and effective dosage. Ultimately, stay informed about the latest scientific research on vitamin D allows you to continually adapt your approach, ensuring optimal health and preventing future deficiencies.